Everyone, my name's Isaac. I'm from the OnMarket team, and I am going to be introducing you and running you through the business of Genevo Marine. They're raising via equity crowdfunding on the OnMarket platform. We're going to run through investor questions to answer all of the questions that have come in from investors. You can get to know Genevo Marine and more about their business. So, Damon and Andrew, could you introduce yourselves, Genevo, and why you're raising via equity crowdfunding?
Thanks, Isaac. I'm Damon Rame. I'm the co-founder, CEO of Genevo Marine. And this is my colleague, Andrew Davey. He's the CTO, co-founder of Genevo Marine. And together we're the co-owners of Genevo Marine, and we're developing Australia's first electric boat and drivetrain. And we're currently raising capital through equity crowdfunding on OnMarket.
And why are you raising capital?
We've been developing the E8 for over 3 years. Andrew and I have been in business for over a decade in the renewable battery space, but we engaged a naval architect, Michel Merzlikov, about 3 years ago after we had done a lot of due diligence and working with batteries and realised that they'd reached the point that it was feasible to put them in a boat. So in the past 3 years, we've really been taking a deep dive and designed the E8 down to every screw, and we've now reached a point where we require funding to build the first prototype. We had a soft media launch about 6 months ago, and we've had a lot of private and public sector interest in the boat from sort of both here and overseas. So this raise is really about building the first prototype, getting it on the water and to the boat shows, and in front of the existing sales interest we have.
Andrew, it'd be great if you could run us through the E8. Why is this the first boat you are building?
Yeah, thanks, Isaac. So yeah, the E8, we chose the E8 as an 8-meter boat because it fits in the fastest growing segment in the marine space, being 8 meters. It fits on a trailer, so it's very versatile in that way. And it's going to have a 400 kilowatt motor, 132 kilowatt hour battery pack, and an advanced drivetrain vehicle control unit that integrates all the electrical components to a cloud, to a smartwatch, to a screen, and basically all the fancy tech that you see in an EV, plus anything else that we can fit into it. Possibly the most important component there is the vehicle control unit. That's where we'll hold the IP. It's the software that runs all the components, that makes the steering, the throttle, talk to the motor, monitors the battery, monitors the temperature of the battery, the cooling system, and all those very critical safety aspects that come with an electric drivetrain.
And on the IP, do you own the IP? Have you got patents?
So all the electrical components within the drivetrain, from the battery, the motor, to the steering, to the sensors, they're all got to talk via the VCU, the vehicle control unit. So the software that runs the VCU is something that we'll be developing as part of our prototype build. And yes, that IP is owned by Genevo Marine.
And after you've raised the money and you go to build the prototype, how are you going about building it?
So we've partnered with a very accomplished composite boat builder up on the Gold Coast, Hybrid Composites. So the first 5 to 10 boats will be built by contract with Dan, and then we'll integrate the electrics and our drivetrain into the hull after the hull's completed.
What progress have you made so far? If you could run us through kind of the design process and also your grant funding as well.
So we've sort of been working on this for 3 to 4 years, and I guess at the lead of that was the engaging Misha and working with him on the design and the required engineering for the boat. Of course, we've spent a lot of time vetting tier 1 battery, motor, and balance of system suppliers, and that might not seem like a big hurdle, but it was a considerable hurdle. getting reputable tier ones, because we're adamant from the outset that we only wanted to use tier one or the best battery manufacturer in the world, and we now have a supply agreement from the best battery manufacturer in the world.
And it actually took contacts that we had through our renewable energies business to even get a look in and talk to these guys, which really got us across the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and that it contributes to your first mover advantage as well.
Well, that's right. And then getting back to the grant. So as you mentioned, we've been successful in getting into the federal government's industry growth program advisory. So that that process was quite rigorous and also validated our work to date.
You have a lot of experience in this space, so it'd be great to know both of your backgrounds and how you ended up founding the Genevo business. Damon, if you wanted to start on your background, and then we can move on to Andrew.
Sure. Went to uni, did biochemistry, and then went traveling with my now wife in my sort of after uni, and worked and lived on boats, big mega yachts and sailing yachts, because I've always had a passion for boating. And then after coming back, worked in actually worked in real estate for about 8 years, which was a very good foundation for sales and understanding people. But then I went back and did project management in uni, and then after having kids, I really wanted to invest into something that was going to leave the world a better place. So I invested into a solar company, and we did a partnership very early on with TAFE New South Wales, doing the first large-scale battery project, grid-tied battery project. And it was at that point that I actually engaged Andrew to do some of the design and the electrical work. And yeah, from that point, I guess we got along very well and become mates. And we've that business has grown, to be a successful business. And yeah, it was, I guess, because I didn't know it at the time, but Andrew was a boat builder in previous life, and I had a love and passion for boating. And it was about 5 years ago, as I said, that we had the idea that battery technology had reached a point where it really was feasible to put them in electric boats.
And Andrew, Damon mentioned that you were a boat builder in previous life. It'd be really great if you could shed more light on your background and how you ended up co-founding Genevo Marine.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, straight out of school, my very first job was an apprentice boat builder up on the Gold Coast City Marina, where we're actually going to be building the E8. And that was a great experience. I got to work on some really lovely timber fit out boats, but mainly the Wild Oats 9 was probably the best experience I got out of it. Very advanced manufacturing process, and yeah, it was just a really, especially back then, 20 years ago, and it was very futuristic at the time. But yeah, at the time, boat building wasn't really for me, so I ended up jumping ship, as it was, and becoming an electrician. And electrical work sort of led me into the renewable industry, which is where I met Damon, and we partnered up with Genevo Renewables. As Damon said, that's been a very successful career, but I did enjoy my time as a boat builder, and come full circle now, we realize that the technology is here to bring the electric, essentially the electric vehicle sort of scope into the boating world.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Damon. It'd be great to know how large that electric boat market is. And what do you think your expected market share will be?
The average sort of scope for the electric boat market at present is about sort of $7 to $8 billion US. And the growth rates range from sort of 11 to 13% CAGR. So it's a rapidly growing market. If the electric boat sector does anything like the EV sector, which I firmly believe it will, I think those forecasts are going to be well and truly outstripped, as they have done in the EV space, in some instances by more than triple what the forecasting was.
The stat out of the US, where there is quite a high percentage of people that are exclusively looking for electric boats as their next purchase. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. So the National Marine Manufacturers Association in the States did a report back in 22, and 67% of US boaters are either millennials or Gen X. So they're younger, they're more wealthy, and they're more eco-conscious, and consequently, over 35% of US boaters now are looking exclusively at electric boats.
Your offer document mentions that you will be the first mover in the Australian market. Why has no one else in the Australian market built an electric production boat?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Isaac. In the last 12 months, there's been a lot of media talk, and I guess it's becoming more familiar to people. And we know now that there are other companies or individuals in Australia that are looking at it. I know that we're the farthest down the line. But yeah, I mean, there will be other manufacturers here in Australia. We're ready to be the first, and I'm confident that we will be. But it's going to be a massive market, so there'll be room for competitors.
And something we've found as well is the boating industry's a little bit cottage and maybe a little bit old school. And us coming from the electrical side of it, it's easier for us to visualize how the transition can happen. But boat builders that are used to doing things the same, maybe they haven't sort of got that vision just yet. But that's why we're here to help them, show them the way.
Yeah.
Why is Genevo best placed to take on what will be a $16 billion market?
First up, I think, is our experience in a shared spaces. Andrew's background in boat building, my experience in boats, but our shared sort of experiences in the electro technology space and working with batteries. In terms of the E8, we did a lot of market research about what we should build or what we should design, and as Andrew said, we've arrived on the fastest growing segment, which is a 6 to 8 meter center console segment. That's the fastest growing segment globally. So we've been very careful to make sure we're working towards market fit. Having our boat a partnership with UNSW and building looking to integrate recycled carbon fibers is hugely beneficial. It offers big cost savings compared to virgin carbon fiber. There's little things like that, but I think the big thing probably is we'll have a very good drivetrain. Will be the first here in Australia.
Yeah. So just to summarize, it sounds like your experience as a management team, owning and producing your own drivetrain, and having established partnerships where you've thought about every detail, is your competitive advantage. You mentioned that the E8 is the first boat that you're building because it fits within the market. Have you validated customer interest in high performance electric boats priced at the recommended retail price that you're going out at?
We have. I think, as I mentioned, we did a soft media launch about 6 months ago, and from that we actually garnered quite a bit of sales interest domestically and to our own surprise overseas, because the marketing was all here in Australia. We've also been obviously watching overseas competitors very intently, and the E8's actually priced below those boats, equally powered spec boats coming out of Sweden and the States after they land here. We've also got some added things like a 1 kilowatt array on the canopy and some luxury items like cork decking and a high-end sound system and so forth that we could pull out of the pack to provide a base model, which is looking at other competitors, they do. But to be honest, the inquiry we've had have all been for the fully spec model at the recommended retail.
What is that recommended retail price at the moment?
The current recommended retail is 450,000 Australian dollars, which is on parity with other producers coming out of Europe and the States, although I think the other thing to sort of keep in mind is most of the other electric boat manufacturers that are actually now manufacturing, you're looking at a 6 to 12 month wait list to actually get a boat anyway, which is a representation of the demand. There's, the demand is outstripping supply still.
I guess you said that you're, at the recommended retail price, you've got kind of premium offering. Who do you see as your primary customer? Are these existing boating enthusiasts, or are they new, more eco-conscious entrants into the market?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mix of both. It gets back to the statistics that I was mentioning before that have come out of the NNMA report. Boat ownership shifting, quite dramatically all over the world. New boaters are younger, they're more wealthy, they're, more educated, they're more eco-conscious, and with that, I guess, comes a desire to look firstly at electric boats and alternatives.
Also, there's with waterway authorities, we've had inquiries from them, so offering our drivetrain to their existing designs, so that they can transition from the ice fleets that they have to electric.
Is this more expansive opportunity with the drivetrain that has other applications?
Absolutely, and that's part of the E8 is really our R&D vessel, and as much as promoting it as a boat, we will be promoting it as a drivetrain to offer to all these existing OEMs. There's lots of big manufacturers, even just locally for us to target first, but then Australia and worldwide.
So we're raising capital via equity crowdfunding. How will the funds from this campaign help you in your next stage of growth?
So, the funding will enable us to, we very much strategically stage it. It'll enable, depending on what threshold we get to, it'll enable us to firstly build the drivetrain. And then once we've got, even commencement of that, we're in a position to seek some grant funding through the IGP program. If we get to another threshold, then we can build the working prototype, which will be showroom ready, and take to boat shows and get in front of existing sales inquiries and get people, the media on the boat.
How can an investor that's investing potentially see a return?
Sure. Yeah. So we've got some very extensive forecasting and modelling and so forth. Over 5+ years. The company, will require subsequent raise to scale up, and those subsequent raises might offer, existing investors the opportunity to sell out. An IPO is an option. I mean, yeah, there's certainly avenues we've investigated and we'll look at the time and base it on what's the most fiscally responsible and appropriate thing to do. It's our focus really now is getting the EA prototype on the water and in front of our existing sales inquiries. And
our last question is, what excites you the most about the next stage in Genevo's growth journey? Damon, I might start with you.
Yeah, I could rattle on browse on that one. Andrew and I kind of geek away all day here just about the, technological possibilities of, where we can drive it. And that is really exciting for me, I guess, firstly, to just get our hands dirty and start, really integrating the first boat, the E8. So yeah, from a technical perspective, I'm really looking forward to that. And then obviously just getting out on it and doing the sea trials and showing it to people. And, we're really happy with the design Misha's done. I think it's a beautiful looking boat. I'm just super excited about seeing it in the flesh and getting people on it and getting, them to experience electric boating and all the benefits that it's got, and yeah, sharing it with the world.
Yeah, great. And Andrew, what excites you most about Genevo's next stage?
Yeah, well, being the CTO, it's the tech side. And like Damon said, the endless possibilities with that. Having everything connected electrically via our control unit just gives us an infinite amount of options moving forward, looking into autonomous driving and different safety features that can be applied. The EV space has really paved the way, and then to integrate that in with the navigation side of the marine sector, that's probably the most exciting bit. But also, getting it on the water and not hearing that engine and being able to the sea trials, getting it in front of customers. We're ready for it. We're pumped for it.
Thank you, Damon and Andrew. I really appreciate your time here today. For all the investors that are watching this Q&A, you can invest via the OnMarket website. You can invest a minimum of $500 all the way up to $10,000 if you're a retail investor. If you're a sophisticated investor, you can invest all the way from $10,000 upwards. If you have any questions, you can get in touch via the communication facility on the Genevo landing page on the OnMarket website. You can also email the OnMarket team directly. And we can organize a one-on-one with Damon or Andrew to answer any questions you might have.